Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Email me for pricing. My email is tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a 2022 limited edition of 50 pieces. This is the Hublot Big Bang Tourbillon Automatic Purple Sapphire, and it is everything its hugely descriptive name suggests. It is big. It makes a bang on your wrist, a visual impact like none other, 44 millimeters in diameter, 14.7 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 56.8 millimeters being the total horizontal distance across the wrist. It is a big watch, but there are some mitigating factors that enable it to fit mere mortals. First, you can see the lugs are angled downward. That helps with fit. Second, being almost entirely sapphire and titanium, with rubber garnishing on the flanks, this watch is one finger light. It is toy-like. It is absolutely without mass. Taking a quick look, you can see that the timepiece wears well on a 16 centimeter circumference wrist like mine, provided you're comfortable with the look of a large purple watch on your wrist. That said, this timepiece is incredibly comfortable. Hublot describes the strap as structured rubber, although it feels and looks a lot like silicone, which it may very well be, but officially the line from Hublot is that this is rubber. It's very comfortable and hugely flexible. And the watch, although sheer in profile, isn't as thick as you might expect such a thing to be, being under 15 millimeters thick. I would recommend this watch for wrists of 15 centimeters circumference or larger. Just be aware, unless your wrist is really, really huge, it's always going to appear massive and prominent. Now, you've got that allegedly structured rubber strap. You have a quick release system in case you want to put it on something even louder visually or perhaps more discreet. You want to put it on Hublot black leather, that's possible. A brighter colored strap, you can absolutely do that. Taking a quick look, you can see it has a conforming profile that swells with the lugs, and you can see it even thins out as it moves away from the lugs. It swells to be the thickness of the lug profile. So although this is not an integrated bracelet watch, it is very much integrated in that the two things are clearly contoured and profiled to meld into a visual continuous whole. Now we have a buckle here of titanium with the purple inlay on the Hublot logo, twin trigger release. It cannot pop open accidentally. This is all titanium. You stuff the strap in, you buckle it down, you close it up, and now all the excess length sits underneath the structured rubber strap. So there's no need for miter loops, and you don't see the excess length flapping in the breeze, so to speak. This case design will be familiar to anyone who's been following the Big Bang since the first one back in 2005. What we've really got here is a combination of clear and purple sapphire with metal hardware and titanium. So what you have is a structure that has a case back, a mid case, a top case, and a bezel, all of it made of colored corundum. So basically, this is sapphire, quote unquote, but there is a combination of materials here, chrome and aluminum oxide, that turn it from the kind of clear sapphire you get over the dial to this translucent purple. And it is second only to diamond in hardness, meaning it is supremely scratch resistant, and there is not a mark on this watch. Take a look, those little titanium bolts, which are both media blasted and polished, they have Hublot H's in them, and you find that on the bezel. Now the watch does have a screw down crown with another one of those little modernist H patterns, but the watch is only 30 meters water resistant, so don't take this 50-piece limited edition swimming. There are other Hublots for that. Now, in terms of the dial, you can see that there is another sapphire, yet another sapphire. In two pieces, you can see that it sort of rings the dial. We've got a little cutaway for the micro rotor at the top, so we have the sapphire panel on the side, follow it through the mid case, and then we have another panel on the other side. It's used as a mounting point for the indices and the numerals. There are luminescent elements, albeit very subtle ones, on this dial. You can see it's not the brightest brand of Luminova, this purple stuff, nor does it encompass the entirety of the dial, but that's okay. This one's for fun, and after all, Hublots are for being seen. Taking a quick look, you can see we have a flying tourbillon, so no upper bridge to block your view. If you look very carefully, you can see it's only the illusion of a flying tourbillon. There is that sapphire that is used to create the appearance of no upper bridge, though the pivot is clearly anchored in the sapphire itself. I'm going to call this a flying tourbillon just because it's functionally a flying tourbillon and there's nothing blocking your view of the works. And that's a good thing, because whereas most of the finishing on this movement is mechanical to a high standard. The tourbillon carriage itself is actually the only example of true hand finishing on this movement, with rounded mirrored beveling. And if you look at these little tri-spoke structures in black, you can see that Hublot even did a credible attempt at finishing interior angles within those structures. So I like this, and I'm glad that due to the Sapphire bridge, it is effectively a flying tourbillon there for your viewing pleasure. Now, it's also a 1-minute tourbillon, so it acts as the seconds hand for the watch. It beats away at 3 hertz or 6 beats per second. We do have a micro rotor up at the top, which you can see well. It's Hublot branded. Underneath that, we have an open mainspring barrel that shows the coiling of the mainspring itself to give you a relative guesstimate of how heavily wound the watch is. Fully wound, it does have a 3-day power reserve. You can see on the reverse side that the movement is entirely evacuated and silvered for a lovely monotone look, a combination of polished details with satinated primary surfacing. There's also a little bit of media blasting in there. All of this pivots on 26 jewels, and it is quite attractive if, in the end, it still is only artisanal on the tourbillon structure itself. Now, this watch would be difficult to swallow at its original retail price of $200,000. That's where the miracle of pre-owned pricing comes in. If you want to know more, reach out to me, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com, for purchase and pricing details.